You know, I was flipping through the Bible, reading a little here, a little there. And you know, we have got so much to be thankful for with when you have God on your bond, when you have been born again, it doesn't take away any of the troubles of this world. But it makes such a big difference when you've got that and you know that no matter what happens, it's going to be okay. Someday, it's going to be okay. You know, that just makes a world of difference. No matter what the troubles are you've got here and the worries, and I think about the families, the parents that lose children, and just, you know, some of the most heartbreaking things that can happen. If you have Jesus in your heart and you have a promise of going home, it makes a whole lot of difference. You know, when I was flipping through here, and there was one of the prophets was talking about, he was prophesying, preaching, whatever he was doing, about when Jesus was going to come. And he was likening it unto a desert was going to rejoice. The dry desert that couldn't sustain life and just hangs on by a thread. And he likened Jesus coming to like that a desert rejoiced all of a sudden. He said, in the wilderness and the solitary place shall be glad for them, and the desert shall rejoice and blossom as the rose. It shall blossom abundantly and rejoice, even with joy and singing. They shall see the glory of the Lord and the excellency of our God. Strengthen ye the weak hands and confirm the feeble knees. Say to them that are of a fearful heart, be strong, fear not. Behold, your God will come with vengeance. Even God with a recompense, he will come and save you. Then the eyes of the blind shall be opened, and the ears of the deaf shall be unstopped. Then shall the lame man leap, and the tongue of the dumb shall sing. For in the wilderness shall waters break out in streams in the desert. And you know, Isaiah, when he wrote that, he was one of those old prophets that he suffered a lot of persecution because of the things that he preached. They didn't want to hear those things, and they didn't want to be put in their place. And I think about that desert that he was talking about. I think about Michigan, like we were talking about. How much it seems like a desert place up there. And I know that's not the only place. That's the only place in my life, in my history, that I know of, that when you were at work, people didn't talk about church and God. When you're in school, people didn't talk about church and God. It was everything but. Sometimes I felt like that the people that I worked with, including my bosses, they got so much joy in seeing how vile they could be. They thought it was funny to be worse than the people sitting around them. And that's all they wanted to talk about, and I just didn't fit in with that. I had a man tell me one time, he was talking, and it was a Monday, and I was grabbing me a cup of coffee, and he come in there and was talking. He said, oh, my neighbor had been down south and got himself some moonshine. He said, if we sat out in the driveway and drank that, he said, and I went walking into my house. He said, and one of my kids come up to me to ask me something. He said, and I just looked at him and said, not now. And I just fell down on the couch and passed right out. And he was laughing about that. And I looked at him and I said, and that's the example that makes you laugh.
Yeah.
That you're so drunk, even if your children need you, you can't even answer them. I said, and that's joy in your life, I guess. And you know, and he just turned around and walked away from me. Now listen, people, we don't. This world is dying and going to hell. Now listen, this world, it's in an awful bad place. And you know what? Now listen, there was another place. Now why that, you know, Isaiah was full of these writings. And at that time, it was hard for people to understand what he was talking about. Now sometimes, just like now, we try to warn, listen, our loved ones and our friends about what's going to take place. And they don't hardly believe that. And they don't understand that. But listen, there is coming a time when they will understand.
Yeah.
Why, it's just like I've said many times. Listen, if the house was on fire, how many parents would give their lives trying to get the children out of the flames? You know you would today. Listen, I'm telling you, people, the house is on fire today. Listen, and we've got to be willing to lay down our lives today. People, listen to me. You know when Jesus came of age, listen, let's pray just for a minute and get you the song ready. But when Jesus came of age, and he went out to the temple, listen, and they had a book open there, listen, that they read from. They was reading from those old writers back there, and they handed Jesus the book, listen, and he began to read, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He has sent me to heal the brokenhearted today, to preach deliverance to the captives and recovering of sight to the blind, to set at liberty them that are bruised. Oh God, to preach the acceptable year, listen, of the Lord. Oh God, people, they was in a desert place right there.
No spirit.
They was dry as could be there. They were hungry for something down inside. Oh God, and I know that every man and woman, if they're honest with themselves, they're hungry down inside. Oh God. And Jesus closed the book there, and he just sat down. Listen, and no doubt you could have heard a pin drop. They sat there looking at him. Oh God, and he looked over at them, and he said, "This day is the scripture fulfilled in your ears here." Oh God, the desert broke forth.
Spirit of the Lord. Oh, God. I ain't no wonder that one of the old writers, when he was talking about my Lord, and said, oh, son, oh, God, mercy has shone down from heaven, and truth has sprang up from the earth, son, and there was Jesus Christ walking here. Oh, he had love and mercy that they weren't familiar with. He had something that was, it burned them up inside, the son, and they had two choices. They could fight against what was in their own heart, or they could fall down on their knees. Oh, God, people, which side are you on? Are you going to stand so proud, listen, until it's too late, and watch your children and your friends and loved ones go down that road? Are you going to be the example for them? Oh, God, you're going to let Jesus work in you. You're going to be, listen, that light on a candle. People, which way is it going to be with you? Brandon, get you the song. Lord's been so good to us. How I woke up this morning, I felt so thankful. The sun. I dreamed I was in a big old church last night. There was thousands of people there. But when I began looking around, there was old Brother Roy Hudson sitting there. There was Mamaw sitting there. Brandon, and I got noticing everybody sitting around me were those that had already gone home. And they was rejoicing, and far as I could see was people, and there was pews everywhere, and the place was crowded. Oh, God. And I was just shaking hands and giving them hugs. It was so good to see them. But you know what? They didn't look as frail as the last time I'd seen them. Even old Brother Glenn Mannix and Carol was sitting there, and he was so happy. Listen, and it was a good place to be.
It's real.
You go ahead and sing, Brandon. We'll sing and we'll pray.
One day as I was thinking,
This thing is very real.
My Savior spoken to me.
I've hinged my whole life on this. And you know what? That feels good. It's not a